It's funny because I remember reading in the 4 Hour Work Week when Tim Ferriss was like faced with that problem, like of like when people would ask him what does he do, because he does a ton of different things, right? He's like a podcaster, author. If it's like a quick chat, he's just like, I'm a drug dealer.
Yeah.
Dude, what do I say?
That's epic. Oh, you say you're a doctor, yeah?
Huh? No. People ask me what do I do. I say I'm unemployed and homeless.
That's what I say as well.
Yeah, that's the funny shit.
I don't know why I added homeless, but
3, 2, 1, and we're live, boys. So welcome back to Hanging with Hardcore. This is episode number 12. On last week's episode, we spoke about taking action with a morning routine. Today, we're going to be discussing the importance of just thinking. And in today's day and age, it's actually the combination of thinking and actually taking action that leads to success. So if you look at all the successful people in the world, they're all thought leaders.
Yeah, that's it, man. Like, people don't realize, like, that's our tool for today's day and age. It's thinking. It's how well we can use our most powerful tool, our minds, which will get us ahead in life. And like, why thinking is so important is because you can actually just, like, if you have, like, say, a scenario that you need to do, you can just do it in your mind first. Then you don't have to waste money. You don't have to waste time. So it's actually very efficient. So we've got to use our most valuable tool that we have, which is thinking. So this is like a topic that everybody feels like they know how to think. And I was one of those people before. But then as I started to, we started to study people like Naval Ravikant. We got his book there. These guys are known for their ability to think. And once you start looking into them, then you start to realize, like, oh, damn, I haven't been, using my absolute potential.
Yeah.
So today we're going to discuss, everything that we've come across, the big heavy hitters where it comes to thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like, we have that analogy of, back in the day, it was all about how much brute strength you had, because, back in the day, most people were working on farms. Nowadays it's all about your brain capacity.
Yeah.
That's the importance of thinking. Like, you look at all the biggest companies in the world, or the people that provide the most value in the world, it all comes down to how they think versus just physically doing something.
Yeah.
Like, now we're in the information age, right? Like,
Exactly.
we have so much information around us. It's more about like who can take that information and actually think hard on it and create strategies based on that information.
Yeah, it's a combination of hard work and thinking smart. But I would argue it's more leaning to the thinking smart side, because I know plenty of hard workers, but what are they doing? They're stuck in standard jobs where they're, like, they might be dishwashers. Like, dishwashers are some of the hardest workers I've ever seen, but they're not most successful, So nothing against dishwashers and all that. I used to be a dishwasher myself. We all did, except for maybe Samuel. Maybe here at the home, we all scrub the dishes, but it's not about hard work only. I would lean the scale more to thinking smart. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
I think we're going to get into it as well, but just taking action leads you down to making your own mistakes, which is a very, very slow way to learn.
Yeah.
A very slow way to learn. You want to learn from other people's experience. You don't want to have to learn from your own.
And that's what books are, right? Books are just a collection of someone's entire life's work. All their mistakes and their findings from those mistakes. And that's why we talk about books so much.
Yeah.
Those are the biggest, they're the lowest hanging fruits.
That's literally the secret.
Yeah.
The secret is learn from other people's. Go faster.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, I think maybe we should preface it about Johnny Boy's podcast. I've had a few questions saying, like, oh yeah, I'm thinking about quitting my job to go into this field so I can learn it, which is true. It's really good. But what we didn't say, and what Johnny Boy does as well, is he's really hard on the books to absorb knowledge faster. Then he goes into those fields to test himself to see if he can actually do it. Like, you can't just go and say, like, if I wanted to be X, just go into that field and I'll become the best of the best. Because, like, say with us, like with investing and all of that, the best of the best doesn't even exist in Australia, let alone Melbourne. So I see it all the time with, people that want to become like a real estate investor or whatever. and they want to learn from someone in the real estate game here, but are they the highest quality? Are they like, there's guys like in the US, in New York, Ryan Serhant. These are the guys on the top. Australia's a very small country. We need to understand it's like a drop in the ocean compared to.
Yeah. The reality is you're not going to be able to get your hands on that kind of A-class person's time. So that person, Ryan Serhant specifically, he understands how valuable his information is and how much he wants to help, and helps his business as well. So he puts it out on the internet. He's got a book, Sell It Like Serhant, which is fantastic. I've read it. He's got other shows and stuff like that. That's what you learn from. That's how someone scales himself. That's how we scale what we've been able to learn. So
that's it. But yeah, it's just so important to think more and like have the thought process, because you can skip everything. You can accelerate your life. Whatever your goal is, like imagine you have a goal and you want to get there through experience. You can get there 10 times faster if you have a combination with the books and the thinking. You get there way quicker for sure.
And I really like how you said, like, if you think about something before doing it, like you can save yourself time.
Yeah. And it's just crazy because like this is one of our biggest messages. Everybody tells you it is a waste of time to be thinking. It's not a waste of time. It's a beautiful use of time to be thinking. It's the best use of time.
We made a whole podcast about mistakes, right? We've all made heaps of mistakes, but I promise you now I've made less mistakes because of the thinking I've been doing than if I just went out and just did it. And just continued trying. Continuous trying is it's a numbers game, right? You just put so many things out there, you're like, one of them might hit. But if you actually strategize and think about your way through each move, you have a higher probability of success, which then leads to an accelerated rate of success.
Let's discuss that idea more. Like that's like kind of like with the saying, like just chuck everything at the wall and see what sticks. Like imagine, like you say, if your goal is to make money and you're just thinking, like imagine you're a 20-year-old kid and then you're just trying to make money through business or whatever, and then you have an idea and then you go out and do it straight away. You just had that thought and you just went out and did it. Then if you go out and do it, you would learn some stuff from it, but you got to think about the time you potentially waste and the capital you potentially waste. You got to be really careful with your capital, because if you keep on, you can go. I've seen people, they do this for 10 years, and they had the saying like, I'll just I want to play it risky while I'm young, and I want to have a shot at this again and again and again and again and again. But they literally fail for 10 years until 30, and then they realize they give up and they just need to buy the S&P 500. And like looking at Finance Josh from Instagram, he's got a really good post about this. It's like taking risks when you're young, it's like a double-edged sword, because if it pays off, you win big because of compound interest. But if you miss out on that, you miss the standard compound interest of the S&P 500. And if you just invested a little bit of money, at the age of 20 and kept that until 30, you could be a millionaire.
Yeah, I think the question to ask yourself is, the answer for us is pretty easy. But the question is like, do you maybe want success? Or do you want 99.9% chance of actually being successful? Like, where are the probabilities higher in those two scenarios right there?
Yeah.
Just go for the highest probability. Bet on the highest probability horse, boys. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's it. You got to really have that self-awareness.
Yeah.
To really see what you're actually capable of.
Yeah. And if you listen, like, a lot of people are not Elon Musk. Elon Musk is probably not just going to invest in the S&P. Why? He's a savage.
Can outperform easily.
Easily. But he knows it. And it's like literally opportunity cost for him to even do that. So it's better for him to go and try these things because his brain capacity is just way bigger than all of ours.
Yeah.
Right. So I guarantee you, he still puts more thought than the average person. Well, definitely, I should say, into each one of these ventures and opportunities that he actually pulls the trigger on.
Yeah.
Like he speaks about on Joe Rogan podcast of having hundreds and thousands of ideas. Like his brain never stops. He only pulls the trigger on certain few.
Yeah.
Because those are the ones that withstand the time of the thinking that he puts into them.
That's it. And yeah, just to clarify, like with the S&P 500, for those of you that don't know, the concept is in investing, you'll find out that the saying is like, if you don't know how to beat the S&P 500, which is the market average, this is the top 500 companies in all of the US, the US is known for being, like, throughout history, the best place to make money. The best companies come from the US. You can say like China's catching up and all of that, which is true, but US without a doubt has the track record. It outperforms countries like Australia by a long shot. So the saying is, if you want to become an investor, you first need to try and find a strategy that you know is guaranteed to beat the S&P 500. If it can't, then you want to just join the market average. Just buy the whole entire US market, top 500 strongest companies, and you'll continue to make, based on history, 10% every single year.
That example is all built on like the person who's their goal is to make money. If that's your goal to make money, then you bet on the highest probability horse.
Yeah.
Right.
And the odds are, like, people that beat the S&P 500 in the investing game, it's literally like no more than 1% can beat it. It's very low. It's a very tough pursuit.
Yeah, there's a lot of people even now, more so probably 3 to 5 years ago, doing the drop shipping kind of businesses, really in depth, trying their hardest at it. But like, it was something we were around in that time we looked at, right? And we found that we probably won't go into it today, but itself as a business is just, it's a race to the bottom.
Yeah, like sometimes, like, you can outperform the S&P 500 for 1 or 2 or 3 years from something that's a short-term race. But then with most races, like the drop shipping stuff, you find out it's a race to the bottom, because you then have competitors trying to sell the same product and all of that. Then your margins start reducing, and then you don't have any profit. So yeah, it's very difficult to stay on top. So that's the genius of the S&P 500. It's like 10% over every single year forever. So it's very hard to beat that. It's very hard to make 10% for your whole life.
People just see that first thing and they're like, oh, chance to make money.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
If you actually think about it, there's no longevity in that decision. The consequences are in 2 or 3 years, you're in a world of trouble because you've built your identity around being a drop shipper.
Yeah.
Your entire business model's based on a certain revenue that's coming in, and now that stops and dries up.
Yeah.
You're in a world of hurt.
I think this is probably a good time to like start talking about a concept, which is called the dip. So what the dip, this is like made popular by Seth Godin. And there's a really great book. Highly recommend you check it out. It's probably like only an hour and a half, roughly.
Yeah, it's a very short read.
Very short book. But what he talks about in this book is anything that you do, like any career path or whatever it happens to be, whenever you are trying to pursue a skill, then there's always this thing called the dip that comes. And so to explain this is like, imagine you want to become an investor, for an example. Like I've been personally in a massive dip before, trying to build a strategy to outperform the S&P 500 like we're talking about. And every single day, like, you feel motivated, you're watching these people on Instagram, showing laptop lifestyle, you can trade from your computer and all this stuff. You're feeling good, your energy's on a high. Then you start reading books, you start getting all of this knowledge in, and then you just feel like you're leveling up every single day. But then you get about 2 years into it, and then you realize, oh, damn, this leveling up every day, it never ends. It's not, and it's not going to end anytime soon. I'm not even close to being successful yet. And it's like, oh, this is, I knew it was a marathon from the beginning, but it's a real, real long marathon. And then that's when you start going downhill. Your emotions start going downhill because you feel like, oh, I don't know if I'm actually capable of this thing. And you start second guessing yourself. And that's what happens to most people, is once they fall into that dip and they understand how truly hard this pursuit is, that's usually when they give up, when their emotions are at an all-time low. And the hard thing is, if you can get out of the dip, then you'll be successful, and then you'll actually start making money from that pursuit. And the idea is that the larger the dip, the harder the pursuit. There's a correlation there with the more money that you would make. Why? Because it's supply versus demand. Less people have gotten through that massive dip. So if it's a real hard one, just think of like some sort of specialist, I don't know, like a brain surgeon or something. There's a massive dip there. There's many, many years of study, intense study that you have to go through, a lot of debt that you have to, all of that combined, it might be a 10-year pursuit. But if you can make it on the other side of it, it's very rewarding. but so many people give up and quit during that dip. So that's a little bit of a brief overview of the dip. But the way we want to look at life, or when we're pursuing something, is just to think, understand, oh, there's going to be a dip here involved. What's the dip going to actually be like? And do I personally have what it takes to survive that dip? Have that self-awareness. And then, like say, like maybe G, you've got a good example of like, say, like university, going to doing what was your actual story? Like, you did health science.
Yeah.
What did you do? Did you do something before that?
Oh, before I go into that, I want to say that was a really good explanation.
Oh, thanks.
Of the dip. I actually really like that.
That's a soundbite.
That was a soundbite.
That was a tough one for me to
yeah.
explain.
That was really good.
That was really well put.
Because I've actually read the book. I've read the book twice. First time I read it, I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, whatever. And during that time, I was getting a lot of advice, like, oh, you know, just do whatever you want to do. Just do it, man. Like, just try it out.
Yeah.
But like, the advice of think more is so important, because like we said in the start, like, you don't want to make the mistake of, you know, you don't want to make the mistakes because it takes so much time from you in the future.
Yeah. You have to catch back. You have to go back uphill again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important to think about the dip before you think about doing anything.
Yeah. Don't just jump into it.
Yeah. Like, you can consider everything, but just like recognize that there's going to be a dip in it. So my story was that, like, I went to uni, and I didn't do too well in school, so I was very confused after school. Like, what am I gonna do? I had no idea. I had you know, I had people telling me, like, at school, I thought I wanted to do IT. So I was like, I had people telling me, oh, you know, just try out IT, just try it out and see what happens. So I did IT, and then I did my diploma in it, and I didn't want to go back for the 3-year degree.
But you started with IT.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, there you go.
So how long was the IT
Yeah.
for?
It was just 1 year.
Just 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what were you thinking during the actual doing that year of IT? Like, what were you thinking?
What do you mean?
As in, like, obviously we know that you moved on from IT after the first year. So during that year, like, what was the emotions going through?
Oh, right. So during the whole year, I was just like, I knew I didn't want to do it.
Right.
Even from the start, like, I knew I didn't want to do it.
Mhm.
I was just, in the beginning, I was very happy that I got in, especially into RMIT, because, like, you know, I got a really bad mark. It's status,
Yeah,
right?
Status,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, Naval talks about this as well, but it's just like, my parents wanted me to go to a good uni, and I was like happy that I got into a good uni. But then throughout the year, like, I could tell that, you know, I was going through like this dip, and I was like, fuck, I don't want to do this forever. I don't want to do this forever. And then
How long within that year did you notice that dip?
from the start.
From the
bro,
start?
From the start.
Are we talking
man.
the first week, or
Yeah.
literally the first week?
Literally the
Fucking
first,
hell, dude.
first few weeks. I hated it.
That's
so
not
bad.
miserable.
That's not the most red flag to, like, I probably don't want to do this for the rest of my life.
Like, I already felt like I didn't want to do it. Like, I wasn't
Yeah.
100% like, because, like, we have this idea of, like, it's either a fuck yes or a no,
Yes.
Yeah.
right? I didn't have that fuck yes.
Yeah.
Like, looking back, I didn't know that concept, but like,
Yeah.
but like, now I know, like, it's either a fuck yes or a no,
Yeah.
right?
Because if it's an average yes, it's going to turn into like a no. There's going to be
Yeah.
like a flaw in it somewhere, most
Yeah.
likely.
Right. So I didn't 100% know that it's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So, you know,
What
I
about-
kind of knew that back then. Like, I was happy that I got in, but it was just like, fuck, I'm with this forever. Like, I don't want to do this
Yeah.
forever.
What about the week before that? So like, or like when you actually signed up.
Yep.
So when you sign on the dotted line that you're going to do this course.
Yep.
What are you thinking right then and there?
Honestly, I was just happy to get into the uni.
So it was just
I
like,
feel that, man.
just get into anything, was it?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
didn't
And the other thing is, like, my friends are at that uni as well, and there was like a
Right.
bar near there as well.
Okay.
So
I feel
I'm
that
just
so
like,
much,
oh, it's gonna
man.
be so fun. It's in the city.
Just to
Yeah.
clarify, you made your decision on where to go to uni because it was a bar.
No, not because of
I'm
the bar,
teasing.
but but like, it was a mix of things. Like, you know, made the family happy.
Right.
You know, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be a fucking piss take at the bar and shit. So
But that's not a small thing, because I feel like a lot of people would make a decision based on. I've heard people make decisions on, like, where they want to go to uni or what they study, even like year 11 and 12, because that's what their friends are doing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, God damn, that seems like a recipe for disaster.
It's always social pressure.
Yeah.
Which like it's a part of life, right? Like you need to understand it.
Mm.
Not necessarily a bad thing. You need to understand it, but
Yeah.
we'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
But I kind of regret thinking like that because like it did put me in heavy debt.
Yep.
I didn't think about the debt.
How much was the debt from the IT?
I can't remember exactly.
Mm.
Both my diplomas. I'll talk about the second one as well. But both my diplomas, left me at a 50K debt.
Mm.
And diplomas are a lot more expensive because it's like a pathway into a degree.
Yep.
So I'd say it was probably 25K for the IT one
Yep.
for
So
the
you
whole
did-
year.
Yep.
1 year, 25K.
Yeah.
Holy
I also
shit.
failed some subjects as well, so I had to redo that.
Mm.
Far out.
Yeah.
So it's probably like 1.5 actually.
Probably because you made a decision based on being with your friends and you're
Yeah.
partying with your friends. And
So you're 18 at the time, 25K in debt.
Yep.
Just got through. So you just passed, did you, in the end? Just
Yeah,
passed the first
just
year
passed,
eventually?
Yeah, I actually did the IT one in the whole year. The second diploma is when I had to do a few other subjects.
So what's the second one?
And then second one, so there's a story behind that as well. So like I left IT because I didn't want to do it. And then I was getting a ton of pressure from like my family.
Mm.
Just being all like, oh, you got to do something, like anything at uni, just something.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I liked sports, so let's do health science. And I remember it being like a decision in one day, and I signed up.
Literally one
Yeah,
day.
literally one day.
So
Like
do you-
I remember I kind of knew Dylan back then, so he was telling me back
Yeah.
then, just think about it. And I kind of wanted to take a gap year. Like I knew I wanted to take a gap year, but like I was getting so much pressure from the family. Just in one day, I was like,
Wow.
health science. I signed up.
I relate to that because so I'm Indian, right? In an Indian household, your parents.
Are you?
I don't know if you can tell, but I am Indian. So I actually
What
relate.
Hold on.
I relate to G because like our parents, they don't want us to waste any time,
Mm.
but they don't realize without thinking you are wasting time in the future.
Yeah.
They don't understand that.
Yeah.
So that's why, like G, you were forced. Like you only took a day of thinking. I don't even think you thought about it for a day. Probably didn't.
Probably not.
It was just like, how can I just make mom and dad happy?
Yeah.
How can I get their approval? Here's something that I have an interest in, not
Yeah,
even a passion.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do this.
Yeah.
It was just like a split
Yeah.
decision,
Literally.
and you wouldn't have made that decision if you had to pay up front,
Mm.
only because it's hex,
yeah.
Yeah.
right?
And that's how they get you.
Yeah.
That's
It's
a huge
not
thing.
painful
If you
at
pay
the
up
beginning.
front, guarantee you'll fucking think.
Yeah. Go
You
skin
will
in the
think.
game.
Yeah.
Because like you're young and dumb, they take advantage of that.
Oh, I hate it, man.
They're just like, oh, it's on Hex. Don't worry about it. You
Yeah.
can just pay it off later.
and they're just saying like debt is good. Like,
And they're making it seem like they're giving you like like they're helping you out.
yeah. But I think it may be a good analogy. So a good analogy is for this one is I reckon the game is like, all right, success is here. You're playing snakes and ladders to try and find the ladders, and you're just doing stuff, rolling the dice again and again and again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Then you keep on hitting the snakes, and you keep on coming back down. But if you just sit there and look at the game and just think, all right, how am I actually going to play this game of life? Then you realize, oh damn, there's a bloody elevator on the left. I'll just walk over to that elevator.
There's a bloody shaft on the
You know, and you go straight to the top.
Yeah.
You just skip all of that.
Yeah.
That's the best shit. Me not going to uni, and I know this is all about views, I thought I'd just preface with uni. Like, we don't hate uni as a whole, right? We hate the decision, the like non-thinking decision to just go and do something. That's what we don't like, and that's pushed onto people. So, like, the big thing that's screaming to me from like G's story there is like, you know, he didn't have the time, nor was he influenced correctly to make, you know, the right decision. You know, to take his time to actually make the right decision. Like, dude, you honestly could have saved yourself 50K.
Yeah.
And just because you have somehow the age of 18 to sign on a dotted line to study something you don't fully know you want to do, you can get yourself in a position where you actually can't make strong, healthy decisions for your entire life, which is scary to me. That's what we don't like.
Yeah.
In Australia, we're actually pretty lucky with the university system because in America, you have to actually pay it up front.
Yeah.
Oh, do you?
And there'll be like student loans, which you can never get away from.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have
I'm pretty sure
a
it's like
job.
way more expensive.
Yeah,
than
even if you don't have a job,
us as well.
you have to somehow pay it off. It will never get off your record.
Mm.
Here, at least, it's like deferred. So we have an advantage here, but we still make it the wrong decision. So that's something we have to be aware of. And you're 18 years old. Like, dude, you're a kid. Your brain hasn't fully developed. Like, you don't know. Like, you haven't experienced a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I think, like for me, I would have also taken a gap year. Yeah, because I was like 17 when I went into uni as a kid.
We've been on a path for the last 5-6 years, decade, of like thinking about what we want to do for the rest of our life and really putting like our brain to it. I'm kind of like, yeah, I know most of it, but not all of it. Like, imagine if you've done nothing and you're 17 years of age, 18 years of age. How on earth are you possibly meant to make that decision? Some people can't even. Huh?
You're very vulnerable at that age.
And I don't want to throw conspiracies out there, but like, seems kind of like the age to, you just feel like you got enough kind of ego to make that decision, but not enough brain power to realize it's potentially not the right one.
I just don't like as well, like society always looks down upon you if you don't go to university.
Yeah.
It's like it's pressuring you into going.
Yeah.
And then like what you're touching on is like we got this great link to this video about getting stuck in the rat race. But it's no joke. Like, the system is not teaching you how to think. It wants you to be impulsive, so you buy products, you buy things. So you make the investors of these companies more money, which happens to be us. But we are the investors. We see how the game is. It's always just telling you, just buy. Here, you're not good enough. You don't have this product. Buy it. You're not good enough if you don't have this degree. Buy it. Everything is for sale to make someone else money.
Everything is advertising.
Yeah.
A lot of times, that kind of like lifestyle, you can get to 25 and be in so much debt with a house, a child, a uni debt, probably paid for a wedding, you got a new car, that kind of like, I'm not sure what the right word is, but like, social like normalities,
status
kind of thing,
status quo.
Yeah, that status quo kind of life. Like, you can get yourself into an age where you're 25 and between 25 and 30 in that position, and then we're just talking about a dip. For you to be able to do anything, even just what we do, start learning about investing, everything is harder. It takes more energy, effort, more willpower.
I think that's why I like when Gary Vee says you could fuck up until you're 30 and you're still young as fuck. So you still got like three lives ahead of you, right? So you could like try to figure out, think for a whole decade and not do anything, and you're still young as fuck.
Should we go to your second part of like
health
sciences and stuff?
Yeah, so I forgot where I explained up to.
So your second diploma.
Yeah, okay. So that was just so second diploma. I finished my first diploma, and then I was about to leave, and then I actually really wanted to take a gap year. I had like Dylan whispering in my ear, like, take the gap year, just think about what you're doing. Like, obviously you knew the dip back then, and I had a lot of pressure from my family. Just being like, don't take a gap year. If you take a gap year, your life's done. Funny story, we had someone bring a preacher into my house as well.
Wait, what?
The preacher was telling me, like, he was like, I could read your future and shit. So he's like,
no.
if you don't go to uni, your life's fucked. You're not gonna. He didn't say your life's fucked, but like, he's
that's
like,
straight manipulation.
Yeah.
Oh my days.
That's intense.
No
man.
disrespect,
So,
but in
like-
the kindest way. That's fucked.
yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah,
It's
that's
sad,
intense,
yeah.
man.
So, I was pushing for a gap year like a lot, but yeah, like I said, in one day I just ended up choosing health science. I'm like, you know what? I liked health science at school. I'm gonna choose that.
And then university health science gonna be the same as health science at school.
Yeah.
That's what you think, right?
Yeah.
You go to university and she's intense.
Because you did health science as well, right?
Yeah, and I did it. That was the crazy thing. I had the experience because I dropped out of 1.5 years of health science.
Right.
So, I was all in on that stuff, and I used to call myself a bodybuilder, a pathetic bodybuilder, but I used to love all that stuff back then. But, it was just too intense for me because it's so science-based.
Yeah.
So like when you were like whispering to G, hey, take the gap year because you need to like really think about things, and then G goes and picks health science, something that you dropped out of.
Yeah.
What was your thought process?
oh, I knew he's made a mistake straight away.
Yeah.
I knew he was going to make a mistake.
Mhm.
Like, I knew there was not a chance you would pass that course. Because, like, something they don't tell you, right? Human biology is one of the subjects that you need to focus on. The pass rate, like, is like not even like 30% or something can pass their first go. Like, everybody fails it. It's that hard.
Yeah, it's very hard.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you know, it's very difficult. And like, they don't tell you that. Like, I wish there was like, I haven't seen it in a very long time, but I don't think there's a big video which is like a 2-hour introduction into the course. This is what you're gonna face. These are the dips you're gonna face. You know, this is what you're actually gonna learn. This is what your week's gonna look like. You're in a lab coat the whole time doing these practicals.
Yeah,
You know,
I remember that.
you know, all this stuff. You gotta wear the goggles, these chemicals. You're mixing things.
Yeah.
But I feel like if they showed that, they
Yeah.
wouldn't get people enrolled.
Yeah.
So that's why they don't show that. It's not their incentive.
That's wild, bro. Because you only should get the people involved who truly want to do that.
Exactly. And I do think like university is good for things like if you want to become a doctor. Like you can't do that by yourself.
No.
You need to go through uni to become a doctor.
Probably shouldn't do it by yourself.
No,
as well.
you should not do it by yourself. So there's things like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But then things like IT, health science, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Like we, like all of us here have done enough research to actually know what health science is. Like on our own. 6 months of hard work and just focused effort on health science, you'll figure it out.
A lot of people go into health science kind of just wanting to be like a PT, that type of
Yeah, or a dietitian.
dietitian.
Yeah.
Like a
Damn.
nutritionist.
Yeah.
Nutrition, I get. Can't you? You can just. Oh, sorry. You can just be a PT. You can just take like a 10-hour course on something and become a PT, can't you?
Yeah.
Dude, the
That's-
funny
yeah, that's
thing
more
is, like,
yeah.
when I chose health science,
That's
I only had like a slight interest in nutrition
Fuck.
at that time. I could have just Google searched it for like 6 months and be like, oh yeah, it's all good.
Yeah,
Right.
pretty much.
I didn't need to do a degree on it.
Yeah.
Damn.
Dude, the first book, I think one of the first books that you made me read from the Hardcore Headstart course was Elon Musk's biography. And that was like really relatable to me because Elon Musk is an aerospace engineer, but it turns out he's not an aerospace engineer. He just figured out how to learn it by himself. He never went to uni to learn aerospace engineering.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, holy shit, he just read books and he got smart.
Yeah.
That's what he says, right? Like, you don't have to have a degree to go to Tesla.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if you've built an actual rocket in your backyard and you got a little model and it works and it flies, and that's better, you know.
Yeah.
Show like you've actually built something.
That's
Exactly.
the beautiful thing about our age, though. Like, instead of like actually signing up for the debt, you can actually just take 6 months and then just research the fuck out of whatever you want to do, and then you can learn it for free.
Yeah.
And then if you still want to go to uni, then you can go.
You'll pass like that because you
Yeah.
know all the information.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you feel like because like they make you the transition is like high school and then uni, right? Like straight after.
Yeah.
Do you feel like because of your ATAR you had to pick a uni course straight away? Because if you just waited a year, you can get into any course. It doesn't matter on your ATAR.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, I
I
didn't
tell
know
you that one.
they don't tell you that.
I didn't know that.
It's like
yeah.
all the high school teachers were like, you need to get a good ATAR or it's not going to get into uni. But then when I got into uni, I'm like, dude, if I just waited one more year, there's like a 40-year-old dude here
Yeah.
studying my course.
Yeah.
What's his ATAR? I want to see his ATAR, right?
Yeah.
You can get into another course anytime you want after a year.
Hmm.
Did not know that.
I had a lot of friends at school like taking gap years, but I think for me it was more pressure from like the Indian community.
Yeah.
It would have been similar with you.
Yeah. 100%.
Like I'd like, I don't want to be racist or anything, but I had white friends taking like gap years and everything. Dude, these guys were like chilling, like traveling the world and shit, coming back.
What the fuck?
And then that was just my like how I saw it. And then yeah, and then I'll come back home and then my community would be like, oh, you have to be studying, you have to be doing this, you have to be doing that.
The actual Europeans, they actually tell their kids to take gap years. Like Europeans are one of the smartest engineers in the world, smart as fuck. And I had a few friends that were studying in Germany as like an international kind of thing from RMIT. They went to Germany, and all the engineers that they were working for, they were like, "What are you guys fucking doing in uni? Like, you guys are so young to be in uni.
Mm.
And like all these engineers that are really smart and really happy,
Mm.
they're like, you guys should be taking a gap year. Like, we all took gap years.
Yeah.
We all took time off.
Mm.
Yeah.
So to wrap up your kind of uni experience quickly, like you ended up finishing health science. How far into
Yeah,
health
so
science
I
did you get?
finished the diploma of health science, and then and then I ended up being 50k debt
50K.
at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many years was that?
All up, it was probably like 2.5.
Of health science.
So 1 year for the IT,
man.
1 year for the health science, 1.5 years for the health science.
So you lost 2.5 years of time, $50,000. Now, well, if you could go back to your younger self, what would you do?
Take a gap year.
Take a gap year.
Yeah. Push the gap year.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
push
go
the
hard
gap year
straight
to
out of
everyone.
school. Take a gap year.
Yep.
Just to think.
Yep.
Think more.
Yep.
Yep.
And
How
if I
would
did
you-
have any if I did have any interests, I would research it for like months.
Yeah.
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 How would
Write
you
down all
have-
my interests and research them.
How would you have convinced your parents and your peers?
That's a hard one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still don't
Would
know.
you have just done it? And
Honestly,
Whatever
I
happens,
think
happens.
yeah, I probably would have just done it.
Yeah.
Because like the thing is like after my first diploma, I was pushing the gap year really hard, and I could tell that they were kind of leaning, although they were still pressuring me. They were kind of like leaning, like because I was pushing it so hard.
Mm.
So I reckon if I had kept my word and been like, I'm taking a gap year, and if I had kept my word, obviously like there would have been a lot of arguments, but
Mm.
in the end, they would have respected me for sticking to my word. I
Mm.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think long term, if you extrapolate out that picture, if you take that time or that gap, I want to kind of say gap period, because a year is like doesn't have to be a year. Maybe a gap,
Yeah,
however long
could
it
be as
takes
long as it
for you to
It's
think.
probably too short.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah,
honest.
a year
A
is
gap
too
as
short.
long as it takes for you to actually work out if you want to do something or not.
Mm.
You extrapolate out, you take that gap, then you go and do something that you know you like, you already have interest in, you studied it previous, and then you start working in that field because you know you love it. You're going to become considerably more successful, which means you're going to be happier, which means you can provide more for your family. Your family's going to be happier, and everything in general is just going to be better.
Yeah.
That's how I see it playing out.
I think with parents in general, if you can show them that you're happy doing it your way, then they'll just stop asking questions because they're like, oh, he's an adult, she's an adult now, you know?
I'm not
They
sure
figured
about,
it out.
I'm not sure about Indian parents.
That's what my parents are like now
Yeah.
because, you know,
if you show it, yeah, afterwards, yeah.
yeah, because, you know, for the last 6 years, you know, I've been talking about investing and, you know, they've been thinking that investing is risky and a scam and they only know about real estate. They don't know about anything else. So they're all like, you know, leaning towards one thing and then, you know, quitting my job, decent paying job that was stable as well. To do this took about 6 months after quitting my job for them to be like, oh shit,
Yeah.
he's okay.
Because they think you're
Yeah.
going to make a mistake because
Yeah.
they still see you as a child at that stage.
Yeah.
Because your reputation's low in their eyes. They're trying to look out for you and they're just thinking, oh, he's going to quit his job, make a mistake. He's going to end up back there again.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you start showing it to the world, like who you actually are,
Yeah.
how much hard work has actually gone in behind the scenes to get your knowledge to this level, then they start to realize.
I think it always comes from a place of love from your parents. They're always trying to look out for you in the best way possible.
Yeah.
It's just sometimes they think their way is the only way and the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's different ways.
And I did see a really good video like from Minority Mindset on Instagram, and he was saying like back in the day like university was so like it was really needed because like people that had a degree, there was less supply of people that had a degree
Yeah.
back in the day. So people that had a degree was like, wow, this guy's special, he's got a degree. But now everyone has a degree.
Yeah.
If every single person has a degree, that means like, you know, there's so much supply, less demand for those people. Like I'm talking to people nowadays, they get a degree and they still can't get a job.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
After
like-
years of getting their degree, they still can't get a job.
I think this is an American stat, but it's like only 15% of still 15% of people who leave uni don't have a job after 4 years,
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, sounds about right.
which is pretty intense.
At the end of the day, it's all supply and demand.
Yeah.
If you have a skill that's in high demand but less supply, obviously you're going to be successful.
Right.
You've just got to find out what that is for you.
The crazy thing as well about with G's example is you're thinking about the dip within the course, but then you're not even thinking about the dip at work once you finish the course.
Yeah.
There's another dip there, and then can you actually see yourself in that field for 30 years?
Probably surrounded by people who made the exact same decision, didn't realize they've been a lab coat their whole damn life, and they're all depressed.
Oh, yeah.
So you just go to work depressed every day. Now you're depressed. Now your family doesn't like you anymore
Mm.
because you don't like your family.
Yeah.
And just that was upsetting. My bad, boys.
I think one good takeaway that I noticed after finishing uni and getting a job, I was always the youngest person in any team that I worked in. I could always see their regrets.
Mm.
They would always say their regrets, and it's always, I didn't take more time for myself when I was younger. It was always that regret. Every single time. Now that they've got a house, they're like, I can't really do this because I've got kids, I got a house.
Yeah.
Had they have just thought a little bit more when they were younger and given themselves more time, things would be different.
Yeah. And like sometimes you just need to get it out of your system to have fun.
Hmm.
Like you're worn out from school. Going through year VCE is not easy. Year 12 and all of that. You're worn out. Then jumping into something that's going to wear you out even more.
Mm.
You need to recharge.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Move on to the next one. Was there any examples that you guys wanted to talk about? Like, here? Or should we just jump straight into how to actually think more?
I think we could jump straight into how to actually think more. Yeah.
All right. So I think another like concept is like, how do you actually go about thinking more? So like the way you want to think about it is just imagine there's you and now there's 1,000 of you. Like they could be like in different simulations, right? Or different worlds. And those thousands of you are then doing different actions or different decisions. Like one is Chris takes a gap year. One is Chris does the IT course straight away. One is Chris goes to Nando's straight away. One is Chris does nothing, just stays at home and reads books. Goes really hard on books. One is Chris stays home and reads books, but different types of books, these types of books. And then you just start playing out all of these different scenarios. And then you start to realize it will make your mind go a little wild at the beginning because there's so many possibilities. Yeah. And it will take a long time to think through this. It might take a month. It might take 6 months.
Yeah, I think we should make that a little clearer as well, actually, because you're young as well. Like when you're taking on all this information, it's gonna overwhelm you, and it's gonna be like you're gonna overthink a lot.
Yeah. I would say it's like. Maybe overthinking is not the right word because that means it's like kind of like it's like negative. Like you have to think. Yeah. Like if you think you're overthinking, you're probably not thinking enough. Yeah. Because if you think you're overthinking, that means you're stuck in the dip of the actual thinking. Yeah. It means you need to think more so you can get out of that dip.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And that's just because like you're always second guessing yourself because everyone's like, oh, just do something. Go ahead and like choose something because you're wasting time, but you're not. Yeah. And if you're thinking about what to do next and you're 18, you literally might need 2 years. So the gap year is probably not even enough. But then eventually you'll come to that fuck yes that we're talking about. Like, oh, I get it. This is what I can do. And you might actually come out with like 5 of those. Here's 5 fuck yeses that I didn't see before because I didn't think before. Now it's like I have a good problem. I have 5 great opportunities, but now it comes down to probabilities. Which out of these 5 opportunities have the highest probability of working for me, and then just go with it. And then if one of those fail, which might be the case, because you might have just had a little bit of misjudgment on that, then that's when the next concept in the dip comes in, which is know when to quit. Because as soon as you realize it, if you've accidentally made a mistake and you can't get past this thing, don't quit instantly. Really give it your all for a little bit. But then you got to know, like, you got to quit straight away and change because otherwise you're just wasting time then. So like I see a lot of people like that are in uni, like in a similar case to what we were, we didn't really like our degrees and all of that. They don't want to quit because they've got the sunk cost bias. They've already sunk so much into this in terms of time, money, their reputation because they've told their parents, they've told their family, they got their whole identity wrapped up in this thing, and now they can't quit they don't have what it takes to quit. It's very hard to quit.
Yeah.
But you got to identify it straight away, because you can see like that path. If you're not liking it, you're going to quit no matter what anyway. It just depends on you until you're going to get burnt out and you're forced to quit. So do you want to get burnt out and forced to quit in 8 years and waste 8 years of your life? Or you want to quit now and save yourself 4 years? It's better to look at it like that. You know, because the world doesn't know what history is. The world can't see history. You got to, doesn't matter what you did in the past. Just stop then and reevaluate the future. Look at what's going to happen. Change the future.
I guess kind of to add on to how to think, like how you just explained it with different scenarios and different, worlds of thought, right? I would actually add on, you're going to be making a lot of assumptions with like whatever decisions that you need to take, or the outcomes of the decisions that you're going to take. You have to make those assumptions as conservative as possible, meaning that you don't prepare for the best case scenario. You prepare for the most realistic scenario.
That's a really good point. Really good point.
Because if you're always preparing for the best case, chances are, this is just pure math, chances are it's not going to happen. Best case never happens. So always prepare for either the worst case or the most realistic case. And when you plan that way, chances are higher that you're going to actually succeed in your thought, whatever you're thinking.
Even if you have what was the word you used?
Assumptions.
If you plan for the most realistic case, any other variable from that is going to be considerably easier to deal with. So it's like,
exactly,
it's always like best practice.
Yes.
Because if you plan for the best case, when the shit comes down, you're screwed.
Yeah. It's like when you're thinking of like 1,000 different scenarios, you're going to be making a lot of assumptions. For example, if you're, you decide, I'll take the gap year and I will just read books, right? And if you're just assuming I'm going to read 10 books a month, that's like ideal scenario that you're going to read 10 books a month. What's the realistic scenario that you're going to read 10 books in a month? So you got to be realistic about that. Then you can kind of track your progress for the whole year.
Yeah. You got to really have self-awareness about
self-awareness.
Because everybody says that. I'm going to have a gap year because I'm going to work 50 hours a week. I'm going to read 10 books, a year and all of this stuff. And like, are you sure you can do that too?
Yeah. Have you ever done that before? No, I'm starting now.
Yeah. So always be conservative with your approach of thinking.
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
That's a clip. Good shit,
First clip was
good shit, Summer. Noting that one down.
What was you guys' experience when we first started talking about this? Because I have a feeling that when I first told you boys about this, like it seemed a little bit like we were a little bit crazy. Was that the case? Like, why are you thinking about 1,000 different scenarios?
Maybe not woo-woo, but like, I know what I want to do. Go away, leave me alone.
Yeah, yeah.
Just pure ego. Like, I have an idea of what I want to do. So
for me, like, I come from a very analytical way of thinking. So like, that's why I did engineering, because that's what I'm good at, solving problems and finding different ways to solve a problem. I didn't know how to apply that way of thought to my life. I knew how to apply it to a job because it was like a structure behind it. I needed to achieve a specific outcome. For me, the problem was I couldn't vision what I should be getting. I couldn't visualize what I need to get, which is why the actual thought process to get that was hard for me.
Yeah,
that's a ripper.
Yeah,
and it's a very foreign concept. Like most people, are like, oh, you got. Some people say you don't even have a plan B. It's just plan A, go all the way.
Yeah,
you only got 2 scenarios.
We got 1,000 different strains of thought. We got Delta. We got.
Yeah, I just wanted to. When you explained it to me, I genuinely like. I don't know. I thought that was wasting time.
Oh yeah.
Because like I'm like, bro, if I just sit there for like days or weeks thinking about 1,000 different scenarios of my life, like, and I don't actually like tangibly do anything, like people can't visually see me doing anything, like, isn't that a waste of time?
Mm.
So in my head it was like that.
Yeah,
that's a good one, G.
I've seen like personally, like people like talking about like actual application of this stuff, you know, it's just sad to see because we're trying to help as much as possible. Like I've seen like someone start like a socks business, like socks, and they have this idea like, oh, I'm gonna be able to sell all these socks, and then they start taking action. They're working so hard, and then society's rewarding them, saying, "Man, you're a hustler. You're going so well." And then behind the scenes, they're sinking their only $5,000 that they have. So now they're even. So their stock on their balance sheet is just $5,000 worth of socks. And then they come to the dip and they're like, "Oh, there's nothing good about my socks. I have no economies of scale, so I can't buy in bulk like the big players can. So my pair of socks costs $40 and there's no profit margin in it for myself. No one wants to buy a $40 pair of socks. Mine aren't any better than the rest of the competition." And they're stuck holding the bag, like a literal bag of socks, you know?
That's a good joke.
And then, you know, it's sad to see, but like, that's the thing with the society was just always rewarding that, taking action. If they just thought they would be able to save the $5,000, save the time, they might be able to sink the $5,000 into something else that has a high probability of success.
One thing on the 1,000 views, I was just thinking about then of like when it actually hit for me. I was like, when did it actually make entirely sense? It unfortunately was a mistake on my end. It took me to get into like a dip in my own head, like a dip in my own life of like, what the hell am I going to do with the rest of my life? Like, I've done this, I've done that, I've got nothing to do. I don't know where the hell I want to go. I'm terrified, I'm scared, but et cetera, et cetera. It took that principle, you know, being repeated back to me again, not the first time I heard it, repeated back to me, for me to be actually really, you know, understand it, do it, and then find the comfortability in, you know, the small progression throughout that journey of finding, you know, the right thing continuously.
How long did it take you to get to that realization from when Dylan first approached you?
The first time he said it until I actually understood it?
Yeah.
The answer is years. I don't know specifically.
So years of repetition for you to finally get it.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when those mistakes, we did that mistake on podcasts, some of those were like, all right, you made that mistake, you learned from it. Some of them were, I made that mistake continuously and continuously and continuously for years. And then it's kind of like either a light bulb or, you know, it was found, a way was found to say it in a different way for me to understand it, or I had different perspective now. So I had like the fundamentals that we speak about at the bottom of the tree. I had that, more of those fundamentals, so I could actually understand what was being said.
Right.
Without the fundamentals, you can't see the world. You can't see it for what it is. You've got to have those fundamentals.
Yeah.
So now that you guys got it, you understood the 1,000 scenarios, then what happened? Like once it clicks, and then you start implementing the 1,000 scenarios, what happens to you guys then?
One thing is, I guess, priorities themselves become clear very quickly.
Yeah.
It's like, well, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. It's not aligned with anything on, you know, my journey, my path, or where I want to go, what I want to do. The vision, the goal itself becomes clearer because, you know, you have a tangible way or a tangible plan to get there. For me, it was everything heightened. It was just like, oh, it was like a light bulb.
But what was the worst? I mean, so the first week feel like? So you finally understand the concept, and then you got to start thinking in terms of all of these different scenarios. I'm guessing it's very overwhelming to like have this thought for the first time. Like, I remember contemplating, like when I first came across this idea, I was just thinking like, oh damn, I got that much thinking to do. I'm actually scared to think. Like, I actually don't want to think, because then your ego gets involved. So your ego is scared because your ego is always there to protect you, saying, oh, Dylan Weston knows the answer, you know? And then for once, it's like, well, I mean, it always happens. Like, but in this instance, it's like, I had to come to the realization, I don't know the answer to what my life is supposed to be like. And like, you're supposed to know that. So then it takes so many hours to figure out and find your path.
Did you feel like you had a moment of the world is my oyster.
Oh, the world is my oyster.
Yeah.
Mm.
After understanding that
Yeah,
concept.
after getting through it, because I feel like what you're supposed to do is find out what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's trying to find what to do.
Uh-huh.
You're supposed to find out what not to do. So like, is Dylan Weston a firefighter? No. Is he a police officer? No. Is he an accountant? No. Is he an engineer? No. Is he this? No. Is he that? No. Is he this? No. Is he this? No. Is he this? No. You keep on going until you find some yeses.
Mm.
Can Dylan Weston become a restaurant-preneur? Maybe. All right, let's put in the maybe column. Can Dylan Weston become an investor? Maybe.
Yeah.
Can he do this? Maybe. And then just write it on a Google sheet, literally.
Yeah.
You got all the no's and you got the maybes.
Yeah.
And I think that gets refined more and more over time.
Mm.
More and more. Every single time you start moving into certain periods, you start doing it more. So understanding what you like about a lot of things, what you don't like about certain things. It's the refinement in that thinking continuously.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's ever now I know what I want to do.
Yeah.
It's like literally a checklist. It's like, all right, I actually didn't mind that part of that.
Yeah.
That was good fun. Hated that part. Didn't like that part. That was fun. And you just continuously keep checking off. Okay.
Did you feel like at some point you were detached from your identity? This is a bit deep, but like, did you feel like because you were literally going through like so many different roles for you, you detached yourself from everything, so then you saw it without a bias, and then you picked whatever's a maybe, and then you're not biased towards anything. You're just like open-minded and detached from every kind of thing that you can become.
Yeah, you hit a mental dip of you don't even know who you are anymore.
That's how I felt.
Yeah. Like, who am I?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
It was similar for me. Like, I remember going out to parties and talking to people, and like, first conversation is, "Oh, what do you do for work?" Or like, "What are you doing at uni?" And I'll just go blank. I'll be like, "What the fuck am I doing?" I don't know.
Yeah.
Even that will like trigger me. I'll be like, "What? What am I doing?"
Yeah.
Like those Olivias that sit in front of the classroom with all the answers.
The ones that you want to right hook.
Yeah. And you always ask them like, "Hey, like, what are you doing?" And they're like, "Oh, I'm gonna do this degree and I'm gonna do there and here and here." Like, mate, you're 16. You don't know. You don't know yet. That's why you're about to get right hooked.
The person with all the answers is always the person who has no idea what the fuck they're talking about. Dude.
Like, you can't know. It's just ego.
Dude, Olivia thinks she's a fucking fortune teller. Oh, shit. Imagine we have an Olivia watching us. Fuck you guys.
It's funny because I remember reading in the 4-Hour Workweek when Tim Ferriss was like faced with that problem, like of like when people would ask him what does he do, because he does a ton of different things, right? He's like a podcaster, author. If it's like a quick chat, he's just like, "I'm a drug dealer."
Yeah. Dude, what do I say?
That's epic.
You say you're a doctor, yeah?
Huh? No. People ask me what do I do. I say I'm unemployed and homeless.
That's what I say as well.
That's the funny shit.
I don't know why I added homeless, but
Dude, the funny thing is, like, recently we had like a long-time family friend, like an auntie, stay over at my parents' house because they're moving to a different state. And then I visited her. I haven't seen her in ages. So then I visited my parents, and then she was there and we were talking, and then she was asking me, "Hey, what do you do now?" And I'm like having to explain to her like that I'm investor but secretly unemployed. Like, she just didn't get it. And then she was like, "Oh, that's nice." And then she just goes on talking to my sister. They will never get us.
I have moved to just saying I'm just working on me, trying to become the best version of me. I say that a lot to people just because like it's something they're like, what are you talking about? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, what do you mean you're just working on you? I'm just like, I'm just working towards understanding everything about me and understanding about the world and just trying to become the best version of myself. Which is like,
yeah, you can't say that in an Indian household, man.
huh?
You can't say that in an Indian household. Sorry.
It's hard to get across to it's hard to get across in a white family too, because these people just go, "Are you all right? Are you okay?" But
I just say I'm
I think it's important.
I just say I'm looking into business.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
I think it's important to kind of like separate the difference. Put something out there as like, damn, all right, he clearly thinks wild, like very, very different. Even if it's mysterious and different, you don't explain the entire picture because sometimes you simply can't because they need so much more knowledge to be able to understand the picture. It's like I just try and kind of create a little bit of a difference and maybe get them thinking about their lives a little bit differently themselves as well.
Yeah.
It's like try and use each opportunity to add a little bit of value, even in that way.
Help inspire them.
Yeah.
And I think like what we're trying to really say is find the truth, right? The truth in yourself, what you really want to do. And there's like that really nice quote from Kanye West where the truth seems crazy in a world full of lies. We're always lying to ourselves that we want to do something. And then so to us, like we literally live our lives the way we want to live with truth, right? So to other people, it seems crazy.
That's
It makes so much sense.
That's a ripper quote. Goddamn Kanye.
Yeah.
Goddamn
I
Kanye.
really like how you were saying like, just yeah. When you're young, especially, you don't know anything.
Yeah,
You
man.
literally don't know anything. Like, as soon as you accept that, then you can start moving forward.
Yeah, the thing is about being young is like just one of our ideas. We're not saying it's perfect or because it isn't, but it's just like this is always an opportunity cost of something that is kind of like our default template, which is like I really believe in like taking a year off, saving up over the holidays, just working some part-time jobs, doing different types of jobs, getting different fields to feel what it's like, to see what you gravitate towards, learn all of these new skills, do that for 1 to 2 years so you got all this money, invest a bit of it, spend half of it traveling the world as well, give yourself some perspective, because you got to think of opportunity cost, not only in terms of money, because if you work hard for 2 years, invest that at the age of 18 and 19, literally by age 30, you can be a millionaire off that money if you work hard, for those first 2 years. But you also, more importantly as well, you've got to have the right mindset and the right knowledge to compound as well. So by going and traveling overseas at a very young age to get that perspective of going to those places like Bali and, Southeast Asia and Africa and all of that stuff, South America, like we're talking about, then that gives you the ability to keep the money. Because the other thing is like if you make money too easy, too quick, and too simply without putting in too much hard work, seeing what the world's actually like, you can lose your sense of reality as well. And that's where it comes into like the trust fund kids. It can happen the same way. I've seen many people become multi-millionaires too easily, and then it screws their head. And then, they feel like they're a king. I've seen them shouting at, people not for delivering their cutlery wrong and all this stuff in restaurants. Like it's very important to compound all of those things. It's not only money, it's knowledge, and it's your character. It's you as a human being. If you can compound all three of them, then that will result in optimal success. But if you only focus on the money, it's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, 100%.
Clip.
God damn, man.
Beautiful.
What's the next point, boys?
What do we got there?
We can do maybe should we talk about like waiting before making a decision?
Yeah.
I think like the thing that we always talk about is like you want to make decisions in your life slow, or like you need to think about what are the consequences of this action that I'm about to take. If it's a big opportunity cost like 50 grand in debt, you really got to put a lot of time into that because it's a big consequence. But if it's just like, I'm going to lose if I choose between, like, say the socks again, this pair of socks or that pair of socks, dude, like half the time you may as well not even think about it. Just buy both and just try it because there's no consequence. Just like, a few dollars.
Yeah.
So just do it. Think like that. But if it's a big consequence in terms of time and money, because money is time as well. You can buy back your time from having assets that work for you. So you don't have to even work. So if it's a massive consequence, you got to dedicate a lot of time towards that. So we always say, like, you never make a decision on the day, especially at nighttime when you're tired. Because going back to the willpower battery, You know, your intelligence is just not at an all-time high at nighttime. It's just not you at nighttime. A better reflection of you is like when you wake up in the morning, but like not even when you wake up in the morning, because you're going to be a little bit drowsy. It's probably 2 hours after that, and hopefully that's around 9 or 10 a.m. when the sun's up. That's probably when you're at your most ideal to make decisions. So you always want to sleep on it first, and you always want to wait like quite a while. Like if it's a big decision to start a huge whole company, like or a whole business, you probably want to sleep on the idea for 3 months to 6 months, unless it's a race. Like some businesses are a race, like network effect businesses like Facebook and stuff like that. But even in that case, you can argue you don't need to start straight away because, Facebook was behind compared to MySpace and all of that stuff. They still overtook them. So you can argue against that concept too. But, you really want to think about it. If you're starting a big business and you're going to sink that 5 or 10K into it in 6 months of your life, you got to think about it because that's a lot of money. That's a lot of time and also reputation. Because if you fail at it, yeah, people will reward you by saying, oh, at least you had a shot. But what they're actually thinking, many people, and it's not the right way to think about it, because there's nothing wrong with failure. But some people are thinking like, oh, I knew he was going to fail his business anyway. I was just encouraging him because, I didn't want to make myself look bad. So like something that Naval says is he never motivates his friends anymore to start companies. He used to always push it on everybody saying, you need to start a company, you need to start a business. It's going to result in so much success for you. Your life's going to be so much better. Then he realized people to be able to start companies, they need to have a certain set of criteria. They need to have certain attributes to be able to be successful at that. So now what he says is like, he'll tell the honest truth. Like if they have a business idea, he will try and, look at all the negatives, look at all the flaws and the holes in that thing, to try and talk them out of it. And if they still stay the game, then he knows like, oh, this guy's really thought about their stuff. Now I'll support it. Because you don't want to, if they don't know the holes in their own thing, that the odds are it leads to failure and you want to save them.
Talking about those holes, like that's what time actually allows you to do. Say with Hardcore Headstart, like this has been a plan for like what, 9 years?
Yeah, very long time.
This is not overnight. We just started releasing a podcast. Like Dylan's been doing the thinking to fix every single possible hole that could ever come up across our entire span of business in general, right? In his own personal life, in this business. For me, I made a crucial error of, taking out a loan and buying a car, not doing enough thinking, made a decision way too quickly, not understanding the entire costs of that. I knew opportunity cost. I understood opportunity cost. I thought I did anyway. And I still went and took out a $30,000 loan. And, I did a little bit of research.
Before you get into that, like what made you want to get a car?
Yeah, so I drove around a death trap for a little bit. For about pretty much when I got my license, I had an accident relatively quickly, unfortunately. And I drove this car around with kind of like a flapping bonnet, which is kind of essentially my character back then. A little bit average. Right? Yeah. So when I went to buy a new car, I kind of justified I might start this business doing lawn mowing or something, right? I thought if I go get a truck, I can claim it back on tax. It'll be completely fine.
And did you think about that business, the lawn mowing business, like a lot before you?
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not even like nowhere near enough.
How long would you say you thought about it for?
Not enough for me even to be making business decisions based on that at all.
Yeah.
Like I did have logos and I had like kind of an idea of how I wanted to go about and do it, but I hadn't started taking any action in that regard at all. Right? Thinking deeply or actually going out and, promoting or doing the work itself. So I justified that I will start a company one day doing lawn mowing to buy the ute that I ended up getting a loan for, which is around $32,000 in the end. But kind of like not thinking about that enough led me to that decision, but it also didn't allow me to understand kind of like a lot of the running costs that come with the car, et cetera, et cetera. So like I thought, like I just got them here to say, I'm like, for the cost of that car, it cost me $260 a month in rent or
The loan.
loan itself, paying back the loan. It cost me $260 a month. The insurance, because I was so young and I'd already had a car accident, my insurance was $175 a month.
Far out.
Because it's like, it was a really nice car. Like that's really expensive for insurance. That's not cheap. And then because this certain car that I got needed special oil, it cost me like $1,000 every 3 or 4 months for oil, for maintenance, for a lot of stuff like that. And then I would also get it detailed because I'm like, oh, it's a company car, get it detailed. Doesn't make sense. It wasn't that much. It was like $80 once a month or something like that. And then fuel was like $100 a week every 2 weeks. It wasn't too bad because it was diesel, but it's actually pretty cheap. But the point there is like, if I did more thinking in that regard specifically, you see those different kind of like running costs and little things. So some people can just look at the larger price of something and go, okay, I earn this much, it's going to cost me that much, done, fine. But it's the intricacies and the details of every single decision that if you don't do enough thinking, you won't come across until it's too late.
What was your financial position at that time? Like, how were you all?
I was all right. Like, wasn't probably investing as much as I should, but I was also earning a decent clip.
Yeah.
So I can't remember what it was, but it was like, I was driving, so it would have been, it could have been anywhere from like $1,250 to $2,000 a month, a week.
Okay. So like, it wasn't out of desperation for you to start the business.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But why did you actually buy the car then?
Yeah.
Well, ego.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was just like, oh, I've been around in this really shitty car for so long, so I'm going to show everybody and I'm going to have this really good one.
Yeah. Basically. And I, at that time, no fault of their own, I did have some people telling like, yeah, do this because that's what we've done, etc., which is just a fault in my own mindset because I'm like, that's not the life I necessarily want to live. Nothing wrong with their life. Nothing that I wanted to live. So I was taking advisement from the wrong people, obviously. But that's completely on me and entirely on me because that's a decision that I made and should have seen very comfortably before that. But yeah, the decision was purely based on ego. And it took me probably 8 to 10 months to realize kind of that decision. And then unfortunately, it took me a little bit longer to actually sell the car. And that actually, interestingly enough, after I sold that car was when it was around the time I ended up actually going to Bali. When I had a decent perspective shift. So that entire period there was quite an interesting.
What was your key takeaway after you sold the car? Like, what lessons did you learn?
Yeah, it was just, it's like, I can see how easily you can get yourself into a bad position. And I was in a relatively good position, even though I had the car. But
that's a good point.
I can see how people who have, the advisement of not the best people around them can just go with emotions and get themselves in a really, really bad place. It also highlighted kind of the speed I was trying to understand knowledge, but wasn't truly like embodying it. Like I was still, even at that stage, trying to get the book done, not trying to understand and apply that thing that I was learning, which highlighted a massive flaw, which I've definitely 100% fixed now.
Because there is kind of like two different stories there. There's one, hey, I'm going to sacrifice with a really shitty car, and then boom, I got the big boy. Yeah. It's like, they're not really aligned.
They're not aligned, but they kind of are, because the sacrifice was in ego as well. Because it was in like, I'm the one who has a fucking shitty car and I'm doing this, 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 and this, and this. So it was like, look at me, what I can become with a shitty car.
Right.
So it was still like, probably not the necessarily right mindset. It had the makings of being the right mindset, but I believe there was still.
So like now you don't have a car. but you can
Nah.
still get around, right? Do you feel like one of the lessons that you learned was to have fewer possessions? Like you don't need to have a lot of possessions, not
Um,
necessarily.
I think you boys know, like I'm relatively kind of like a minimalist anyway.
Yeah.
I don't need. Like, it wasn't like a car was that convenient. Like I don't leave the house anymore anyway. I'm a homebody, so it's kind of like it also didn't really make sense to have a car. That's why I haven't purchased a new one, even at a cheaper price, because for me, on just a cost basis, it doesn't make sense for me to own a car. Because anywhere I want to go, I can just Uber there. I don't have to have, the running costs I was just speaking about. I don't have to have the cleaning time. I don't, et cetera, et cetera. So
Uber's really cheap. Like in our lifestyle, where we don't have to go to work every day.
yeah,
It's only like we need to leave somewhere once a week.
I actually did the math. Even when I was going to work every day, it was still cheaper than owning the car,
That's crazy.
which is wild. But I still use some of that time to walk as well, which, allowed me to read more, which allowed me to understand more, which, it was a very interesting period in my life, because that's kind of where I believe like I started taking everything considerably more serious. I personally think.
Yeah. So how would you have improved? Like if you could, like we're saying back with G, if you could go to your younger self, what would you say to your younger self in that situation?
Yeah, I think it starts way back then when it's like, do the work. Like, I think it all stems from like, do the knowledge properly, like understand what it is you're talking, like you're learning, like, because if I embodied all of that information, there isn't a chance I make that mistake. That doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And then, I think I think it's that in general, just across the board.
Do you think like as well, like you came to yes, I'm going to buy this car too quickly?
Way too quickly.
Like when you had the idea and then it became a thing that you're going to buy it, how long was that?
Well, my problem is I decide I'm doing it, and then I just have to find something that relatively fits it, and I pull the trigger. Doesn't even have to be 100%. Has to be very close. And I'm like, yep, I can justify that's a win easily. So the whole process of buying a car within inside a month, which seems like a month, but if you haven't bought a car, a month is not that long time. And we speak about making decisions, especially large decisions. Like we're talking about $30,000 here.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
And it wasn't a loan, so didn't lose all that much. But on running costs and what I actually had to sell the car, I took a loss there as well. So
also the added stress.
Yeah. Well, what's the funny thing? Added stress of actually driving as well. I get car sick as well, but I very much prefer taking an Uber than having the stress of owning that vehicle and potentially having an accident.
I relate to that because, I have a car and it's parked in the car park outside. And, some days I'm just like worried because, anything can happen, right? Anyone can fucking, break into the car or, damage the car. And then it's not about how much it'll cost. It's the actual work required to fix that shit.
Yeah.
It's just time. Like, I don't care about the money. It's like, I don't want to be involved. I don't want my head to be thinking about that.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying about the possessions, like having fewer possessions. Now you don't really need a car.
Yeah.
Right? It just takes away that stress.
I'm going anywhere. If I need, like, I've even looked into, like, if I want to go on a trip somewhere, right? I want to go for a drive. Or what do they do? The Ocean Road or some shit.
Yeah, Great Ocean Road.
Just rent a car.
And then you can get a convertible for the weekend.
Exactly.
Get a goddamn Mercedes, boys. We're just
Exactly.
chilling,
Take a few Instagram photos. And you're good.
But that was not even that long ago, so
yeah,
it's big, interesting one.
Yeah, that's a good
I
one.
think maybe a lesson in there is, I don't know, personally, whenever I feel like I want to buy something, like I always want to buy shit. But like, you always find the good shit. And then like for me, like it, like say with me, like I love tropical fish, and I always look at these big 12-foot fish tanks.
Gudgeons.
I'm like, I gotta tell the boys, one day there's gonna be a 12-foot fish tank in here. I don't have to tell anybody. And like, I'm like, I can always say like, oh yeah, I deserve it now. I worked so hard for 10 years and all of that. But then as long as you just don't think about it, like just let it, like just sit on it, rest on it for 3 months, for me, around the 3 months mark, I'm like, I'm onto something else. And now I'm thinking about, a new motorbike or a new boat or a
New watch.
something. But it always takes like around 3 months and you don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think of like, what is it going to add to my life?
Yeah.
Or like, if I buy it, how much is it adding to my life? And usually the answer is, well, not that much.
That's the truth with most physical possessions.
Yeah.
It doesn't really add much to your life. It's just there to like give you a high for a couple weeks, and then you get over it. And again, like in that video that we was talking about, we won't ruin too much, but like it's about a mouse in a rat race, pretty much. And he buys a Ferrari, and then he's happy for a few minutes or a few frames, and then he's stuck in traffic on a rainy day with the top down, and he's just depressed.
One of the pains of that as well is if your happiness comes from buying those materialistic things, you have to continuously step it up.
Yeah,
you have to chase your way to the yacht that you can't afford.
I wanted to actually.
It's a little bit off topic, but
I wanted to add as well. Like, I hope people don't miss the point of Doc's story. Like when I was saying, don't buy a car. Like if you need a car, like for my job, I need a car because like it actually makes me income, which I can invest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I do disability care, so I need to drive to different locations. A lot of the times I can't just rely on Uber, and I need to take the clients around in my own car. So I need to.
But what car do you have? You got a.
And I've got a crappy car, like a Toyota Camry.
Yeah, but I'll say that's a nice thing because it's a reliable Toyota Camry.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right. Yeah.
You don't have a Volkswagen or something like that.
Yeah,
it's funny because like
yeah.
I would have people like teasing me about it, like, oh, you're driving around in a Toyota Camry, such an old person car.
Nah, you're worth $250,000.
Yeah.
Because of your silly little Toyota Camry.
Your car's nice.
Yeah. Maybe a car that would have been better would be a Corolla hatchback. It's probably more efficient, cheaper.
Yeah.
So I would say go down a level.
Because the thought process behind that is you need to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how you get there.
Yeah.
Right? In like the most efficient way. Like that's how you should be thinking about that.
Yeah.
Not how do I get to point A to point B in the most lavish way.
Yeah. That's right.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a little sister who's 17, and we're going through that period of trying to buy a car right now. If you are that age of buying your first car and you're looking at anything over what are car prices now, like $5,000-$6,000, because
maybe 10 because of inflation now.
Inflation, boys.
but there's good cars for 5 and 6. Look at this shit. I don't want to hear. If you okay, let's just be very honest then. If you're thinking about getting a loan for your very first car, not a chance. Silly, very very silly. Immediately, it's too much, man.
Because you're tied down to that now.
Well, you go get a loan and then you have an accident because the rate at what you have an accident at 17, 18 when you first get your Ps, it's the highest percentage of all time of your entire driving career. So just be smart and think about that as well.
And I was actually lucky with this car. My parents actually handed it down to me.
So you didn't pay for it, right?
Eventually, like once I made money back from investing, I paid them back.
That's good.
I paid them back double actually.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Your mom got you, bro.
Yeah, your mom got you, man.
Even without the knowing about the investing, she got me.
Yeah, one of the main points as well of the story, one of my stories, like think about why you're always doing something.
Yeah.
Like think, yes, you have to think as deep as possible, understand exactly why it is you want that thing, why you want to make that decision, what is driving you to make that decision. For me, it was purely ego. Are your emotions driving that decision?
Yeah.
Why? Ask that question continuously, and you'll usually come to a relatively, the correct answer.
That's it, man. I think the thing as well, like just to touch on G's thing where he paid double, that's actually talking about in terms of adding value back.
Yeah.
He got something for free. Dude, that's not fair, man.
Yeah.
So like if you got something for free, pay it back. At least pay it back and pay interest on it too. It's your family at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You don't want to take from your family. You don't want to take from anyone. So you want to give more to your family. And that's what you do. You pay it back double. So that's what we do.
That's what we do, boys. I think the next point there is don't be a passenger on a train. Do you want to discuss that?
Yeah, it's just like feels like a lot of people they have like the herd mentality in society. They're not free thinkers. And it's sad because it's just like they haven't come across these concepts of how to think, so they don't even realize it. But it's like they're like a passenger on the train, or they're a passenger on the bus, and they're just getting taken somewhere, and they're just going along for the ride. They're not really thinking it through. They're just doing it, and then hopefully it ends up in the right place. But like, no, you can actually become the driver of this thing. You can actually think about exactly where you're going, and that's like super important. So like maybe something in terms of like we see it all the time is people like straight away they're buying like a house, usually mainly for social reasons, and they just want to buy a house. It's like it's a race between our friends. It's always a race who can get the house first, and then they can show it off, and then they've got the Instagram photo. Look at me, I've got my house. And they're not really thinking it through all the way to the end. What does that actually mean? Now you're locked into a mortgage, so you lose your freedom. You now are required to have that income coming in every single week. You got maintenance that you have to do. You got a massive house to take care of. You got lawns to mow and all of this stuff. People don't think about everything. So it's really important to think about every detail. Think with the end in mind and do it for yourself. All right, buying a house is a good thing. All right, but how come then most people, every time they buy a house, they look at how much they have for that 20% deposit, and they look at their budget and they spend that whole 20%. Like they spend their whole net worth every time. A smart person never invests their whole net worth on a house that they live in. No billionaire investor has ever done that. Like Warren Buffett says, like he always says, like, you keep it to an absolute minimum. Like it should be a small percentage. You want to have like 6 times more money than that deposit when you actually go to the deposit. So he's actually got 6 other deposits, like, or 5 other deposits for houses. And the funny joke is when they ask him all the time, like, when are you going to buy a house? And Charlie Munger, he's always like, it's when your wife forces you to.
Truth.
But like,
but really forces you to. You say no for many years.
But yeah, it's like that's how you need to think.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, like, with that point, like, that would be like a lead back into extreme ownership, right? Like into our last podcast from I don't remember what it was, episode 4, yeah, about extreme ownership. Like when I realized like I could take extreme ownership of my life, like that's when I started thinking more heavily, and it was overwhelming, but like that's when I started thinking more heavily. I was like, wow, I can control all this thing. I can actually be the driver of the train that I'm on.
And I think like maybe not everyone can be a driver, but at least know what train to get on. Right? So you don't have to, like, again, you don't have to create something from scratch. For example, a Hardcore Headstart. It already exists. We have a vision. Your vision doesn't have to be something different. You could just literally have the same vision as us and get on this path with us.
Join.
Is driver of the train about your own life though, or like is it about starting something?
You can say both.
Both, yeah.
Both. So in your own life, it's you're the driver of your train.
Yeah. So that comes down to extreme ownership, and then like making decisions shouldn't be based on what other people are doing. Yeah,
but I agree with you. Yeah. If you don't have to be like you don't have to start your own company all the time.
That's what we do. Like we don't start the next Facebook. We just invest in Facebook. We don't start the next Amazon because Bezos will destroy us. We just invest in Bezos.
And that's our message. Our message of Hardcore is just invest in the best. We're not the best. Invest in those guys.
We're nowhere close to the best. We're getting there one day, hopefully, with all the work and effort. But we invest with the best people.
But for your own personal life, extreme ownership. Watch that podcast, episode 4.
Shout out.
I think talking about the extreme ownership in terms of your life as well. I hear so many people. I see them with the house. They have a house, and they was like, "Oh, but you don't understand. My life is so hard. I got a job and all of this. It's like, but if you didn't make that decision,
Mhm.
you wouldn't have to have all these complaints.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
There's literally, you made those complaints
That's right.
a reality.
Yeah.
Like you got to think about it. Like some people, they really need that house and it makes them feel so good. And there's an investment strategy behind it or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's a good decision. I'm not saying buying a house is a bad decision. Sometimes it's a great decision.
Mhm.
But just really think through it.
But then that's just one scenario. Another scenario could be a person doesn't have that thought process, buys a house not knowing what the consequences are, gets stuck in a job for 30 years because they have to pay off that mortgage over 30 years. That affects, you probably can't take as much leave as you want. You can't probably travel as much as you want. It affects those kind of areas of your life.
Mhm.
And you don't really think about that.
Every action has a consequence.
Yeah.
Always will. It's how it works.
So if you're saying, if you have a house and you're saying, I want to travel the world, it's going to be harder for you because now you're confined to this location and you're paying for this land and house with your job and your time. So how is it actually going to make sense for you to travel the world? So it's like those type of consequences come from a lack of thinking.
Not thinking with the end in mind.
Yeah.
So think about what is the outcome. Now break it down in little steps, and you can see like these are all the consequences going to happen. Is that good? If it's good, then do it. If it's bad, don't do it.
And be like we said before, be realistic. Don't be optimistic with your assumptions or your end goals. Be realistic or worst case scenario. And your worst case scenario shouldn't be low. It should be high still. Your worst case.
Mhm. Yeah, well, like what's the word for that? Like rational optimist, right? Logical optimist.
Yes. Rational optimist. Rational maximizer as well.
Yeah, and that's the great thing as well. Like I know there's always going to be something in my life coming around the track. I know like there's probably something really bad going to happen in 2 months. But be ready for it.
Touch wood, man. Touch wood.
I think the next thing to talk about is a new one. So this is always talking about like, people always giving you like stock advice or finance tips, and they're telling you, oh, but if you buy this stock, it's going to be the next, whatever, and it's going to kill Facebook, or, it's all of those examples. You hear it every single day, but none of these guys know how to invest, or they don't know how to trade. They don't know anything that goes into this stuff. They don't know how to analyze businesses, position sizing, how much money you put in this investment, any of that. But people listen to this stuff and they invest. And a lot of the time that I always see is like, I think you saw it a lot at Jetstar. It's like, it was like, hey, buy this stock. And then everybody drives like, yeah, it's going to be good stock. Oh, yeah. And they just sink their 10 grand in. And that's all they got, 10 grand.
Yeah.
Just put the whole 10 grand in. Like, they don't think in terms of a portfolio or anything.
But just on that 10 grand, like we were talking earlier, that 10 grand you saved up, that's saving up after you're paying all your expenses and all the other stuff, plus working. Right? So it's like time compounded on time, that 10 grand. And then you're sinking all your 10 grand into this one call from your expert friend. So it's like, what thought process went behind that? It's a scary thought.
As full-time investors and traders, there's like a quote or a saying. It's like, if your plumber's giving you financial advice, it's the top.
Something's about to happen, boys.
You're gonna get scared.
You gotta be real afraid.
So you take profits.
Big green whole cock candles, boys.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like the thing is, like, whenever the main society is talking about a certain thing in terms of money, it's usually wrong. It's what you learn about Rich Dad Poor Dad. Great introduction to learning about finances. The rich do things different. Sadly, the lower and the middle class do things a certain way. You don't want to do it that way. You want to do it the other way. What was that quote I had? Is it gone?
Who was it by?
Can't remember who it was by. I don't know if I made it or not, but there was that quote. I think the quote goes roughly like this. So there's a concept called wisdom in the crowd, right? So what wisdom in the crowd means is, if you've ever gone to like a festival, or you might have done this in school, and like the teacher's like, how many jelly beans are in this jar? And you have to guess. And whoever gets it right, they get a reward of some sort. If it's at a festival, you might win $10,000, right? And you got to pay to get in. It's like it's a raffle thing, right? It's to make them money because no one gets it right. Even a mathematician, if you gave him like 30 seconds to really stare at it up close, he can't get it right.
Mm.
You know, he's like trying to count like the rows and the columns and work out the area of this thing. He's not going to get it right. No one will get it right. But if you got the average, let's just say there's 1,000 people that entered into that raffle. If you got the average of all of them, it'll get pretty damn close to the answer. So there's a wisdom in the crowd of all those people. So the quote is like, there is wisdom in the crowd. That is a true phenomenon. But when money is involved, there is only madness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you hear people all saying, buy this stock, buy this crypto, you know, buy this house, it's great, go to this university degree. Whenever there's money involved, there's usually madness there. There's no wisdom.
It's all emotion, isn't it? It's all emotion.
Because what does that come down to? Like, money is just another form of time. It's just like, it's like you've collected time that you can spend. That's what money is, right? So then when people like subconsciously, they'll realize, shit, this is my time, and it's not money. So there's like a lot of opportunity there. That's why they go mad.
Yeah. And it's thinking about the positives only.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my potential reward.
Yeah.
They're not thinking about all the consequences that can come.
Yeah.
That's like, what is something we say and teach everyone we help and consult with? Always think of the downside. Think of the downside first, and only the downside.
Yeah, protect the downside.
Always worst case first, and then realistic. Never go best case.
You never want to blow up your entire, well, in this case, life, just because you're trying to make it in one go. It's the worst way to do things. Consistency, highest probability bets. You get there. Just takes time.
I think we're pretty much done here, right? Yeah. I think it's good to end on there's one physicist called Richard Feynman, and he's really, really good at thinking. He's a great thinker, one of the best thinkers of our time. And there's this video on YouTube called Why, and it's just Richard Feynman just breaking down every single concept by asking why. And he's like, why does this happen? Okay, because of this. Then why does it happen? Because of that. Because of this. So it's like there's so much thought gone into like one concept. It's a great watch. I think it's like a 5-minute video. We'll link that in the description as well. But any kind of decisions that you have to make, just break it down. Why?
Yeah. Good on Richard.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is check out Naval Ravikant. A good introduction to him is the podcast How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky. It's about 3.5 hours long.
It's a big one.
Yeah, it's a good one, but it's very tough to understand it all. But you will get a few takeaways. But with this, it's kind of like the Bible that we follow. It's something that we keep on revisiting every like 6 months or so. But it's great insight to understanding how to think different and to realize that you might not be thinking the correct way. It's a good shock, like Rich Dad Poor Dad is. And it shows like there's levels to it, because like most people that I've ever come across are shocked by Rich Dad Poor Dad. This is another shock on top of that. So this is definitely more advanced. I think it's worth taking a crack at it. But don't feel, too down on yourself if you don't understand it all. Like even us, we're still trying to learn it all. But yeah, it's just repetition. It comes down to those foundations. Once you can learn the foundations of many different things, then you'll be able to see it for what it is.
You're not meant to understand all of it yet. That's the point. Like throughout kind of this journey of watching every single one of our podcasts in order, because we created this structure of a course, you'll realize that you as a person are getting smarter. You are developing. And as you go back and listen to that Naval podcast every 3 to 6 months, whenever you watch it, you'll realize how much more you understand.
Yeah.
And you go, wow. So it's actually not a bad, it's actually a really good metric to see kind of your progression. I've got it up on my wall upstairs in my bedroom, annotated to the gills, and I check up on it all the time still.
It's good.
It's the most important thing.
Oh yeah, I think it's the best podcast on the internet that we've come across
By so much.
Yeah,
it's pure value.
But yeah, check out that other link about the rat race. It's called Happiness, wasn't it?
Yeah, Happiness.
Yep. check that one out as well. It's going to open up your eyes. Do those things, and yeah, it's going to be an absolute little ripper, boys.
Yeah, boys. Anything else to add?
Do the work.
Do the work.
Sons.
You heard it from the doc. Prescribed from the doc.
And refill your prescription anytime.
All right, boys.
So on that note, thank you guys for watching this episode. And if you guys liked it, please like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family if you found it valuable, because again, this will help more people if you share it. And on that note, shall we wrap it up?
Pack her up, sons.
Pack it up.
Back it up.
Back it up.
Thank you for listening.